Welcome back to Hockey Unplugged. I'm Carson and I'm here with Jack Shai. And today we're going to kind of just be going over a little bit of news related to the Flames and the Canucks, and I'll let Jack get into that further here.
So the NHL season started like 2 weeks ago. We didn't do an episode last week, but there wasn't too much to talk about. But now this weekend we've got about like 4 games under the belt for both teams, and we got some good news, some bad news, and we're just gonna give our thoughts on the teams, and maybe if we have time we'll go over some fantasy hockey too.
Starting off for the Canucks, Brock Besser, 4 goals in, was it their home opener? Do you remember?
Was it?
Or was it just
I think it was. I think it was the home opener.
Oh, their season opener was at home anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
So 4 goals in a game for Brock Besser. A couple lucky bounces, but it's still like really nice to see that. After all the kind of struggles he's had over the past couple seasons. I don't know. I was pretty excited. I got him on my fantasy team as well. That helps me out quite a bit that night.
Yeah. I'm sure for week 1 at least.
Yeah, definitely. And then just adding on to that, a big 8-1 win against the Oilers. And
I love when the Oilers lose.
Came back to beat them again. Back-to-back wins against the Oilers. I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, the Canucks were like, they're buzzing in the first 2 games for sure. Definitely. Like, I think I was going to say with the second game though, I think the shots were like 40-16 for the Oilers. So I think Demko had a lot to do with that one for sure, but their offense has been really potent so far, and they obviously haven't had troubles, or they didn't have troubles trying to shut down McDavid in those 2 games.
Yeah, not at all, obviously.
Did they score in those games? Do you know Draisaitl, McDavid?
Oh, Draisaitl, I think he was the 1 goal in the 8-1.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right.
Yeah, and then I think McDavid and Draisaitl maybe scored 1 each in the...
McDavid's been struggling, bro.
He actually has. I'm surprised a little bit.
Like, dude, I turned on the Oilers game for like 2 minutes yesterday, and they're versing the Flyers, right? And they're on a power play, of course. You turn on the TV, the Oilers are always on the power play for some reason. But I turned the game on. McDavid's in the offensive zone. He tries to pass back to his defense and just picked off. Shorthanded goal goes the other way, and I was like, that's sick. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, so obviously the Oilers should not be losing to the Canucks like that. As much as I don't like to say it, the Oilers should be a better team. And then obviously last night, losing to the Flyers as well. I think that was last night, right?
Yeah. That was a bad loss for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, who did they play that they won the 1 game? I'm trying to remember now. It was their 3rd game. Oh, it was Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they beat Nashville. After that, everyone was like, oh, they're bounce back. They're back.
And they lost to the Flyers.
And they lose to the Flyers just out of nowhere.
The Flyers are surprisingly good at, like, as of now. I don't think it will stay that way for them necessarily, but right now they're looking good.
Yeah, for sure.
And then last thing I wanted to talk about with the Canucks was last night, Tyler Myers. There's so many Canucks fans that are not happy at all with how he's performed so far. And I think it's maybe being looked over by the coaching staff and stuff last night just because he's a veteran and he had a goal.
Does anyone have him in fantasy? Imagine. Sleeper pick for week 3. Tyler Myers.
I don't know. It was actually not even a bad goal. It wasn't like a lucky goal or anything. He just kind of had a nice shot from the point, and he wasn't through traffic or anything. He kind of had a wide open shot. There was no one in that lane, and he just kind of ripped it. It went in.
Yeah.
So,
I think like with that play that you showed me that you're kind of like pissed at Myers about, like why was he not playing the body, dude?
He was playing the body, but he was on the wrong guy.
But no, but he was like what was he doing again? Like, it looked like he was kind of half hitting the guy, and then he's like, oh, never mind, I'm just gonna like go away now. And the guy just like snuck through and passed it to Kucherov.
Well, I don't know, because Myers was, during that goal, he ended up, I think it was Hughes. He was just on top of Hughes when that goal was scored. Myers went into, I have no idea what he was doing. He went in to try to make a defensive play and ended up hitting his own teammate.
Bro, I was just like laughing when you sent that to me, bro.
I was laughing watching it because that's so just it's so like unbelievably bad. Like you should not be seeing that in the NHL.
Yeah, I know there's no way he's re-signed next year. Like,
If he
no way
is,
the Canucks are like, let's re-sign Tyler Myers.
I'm not gonna be happy about it. What's he making even like
Bro, I think it's like
mil?
6 mil. Nah, bro, it's like
Six?
six. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like six.
No way. I
I
don't
think
know
it
his
is, dude.
contract, but
I think it's six, but it's only like this year left anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. But
no way.
most awesome Jim Benning moment.
I love
Is that a
Jim
Jim
Benning.
Benning moment?
I actually want Jim Benning back now though. Or last year at least
Wait,
I did.
who's the GM again for the Canucks right now?
What's his name? I know the owner is a Quinley or whatever, however you pronounce it.
I actually don't know.
I know I'm blanking right now. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I don't know his name either.
He wasn't good last year though at all, especially with the way he treated like Bruce Boudreau and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That was kind of ugly. And then
Just
like
wasn't.
he's like kind of like not sold on the idea of bringing Pedersen back either. Like
That's
isn't
the
he kind
owner
of like,
actually. That's the
oh,
owner.
that's the owner?
He's not
Oh,
100% willing to commit to Pedersen. I should have let you know I wanted to talk about that as well. But Pedersen, I think if he's not 100% sure he's loyal to the Canucks and wanting to re-sign with the Canucks, then Quinley was saying, or he didn't actually publicly say it, but it was like revealed later that he was maybe not interested in keeping Pedersen signed, which is,
dude, that might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I know, like,
Like, why would you not want to keep Pedersen? Like, he's literally like probably like a top five centerman in the league like now.
yeah, exactly.
He's like what, like 24, 23?
24. He might have just turned 25. I can't remember.
Like,
I think
what's
he's
his rationale for that?
I I don't know. That was never said. It was just, I saw on Puck Empire on Instagram that it was him kind of talking about it. It was released like a couple of weeks or a week maybe or earlier that
Yeah.
the Canucks as a team weren't willing to commit to him if he wasn't willing to commit to the Canucks.
Oh yeah, okay.
But then later it was released that it was a Quinley.
Yeah.
Is
I
the
mean,
Canucks GM Patrick Alvin?
yeah, that sounds familiar. That might be it. But I think going back to like your point where the Canucks would not be like committed to Pedersen if he's not committed to the team, like that actually makes a lot of sense. Like I don't think they should go out of their way, especially if he doesn't want to be there, to like pay him, like overly pay him to just stay here. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what the Flames pretty much like tried to do with like Goudreau, and they're trying to do that with Lindholm right now. Like it
Mhm.
would be better to maybe just trade him if he's like not wanting to be there. But if Pedersen wants to resign, like why would you not resign a guy like that?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
no rep.
And then why release that statement? It's not a statement, but why like allow that information to get out that you're not 100% willing to commit to him when
Yeah,
you
because
know he's already unsure if he's 100%
yeah,
committed to the Canucks, because that just he might have seen that or heard that and he's kind of just thinking like, oh, I don't know. That just like makes me even more unsure about what
yeah,
I do
exactly.
after this season, right?
And that also, if you want it, if they do end up like wanting to trade him, that like brings his trade value down now.
It
Because like
does, yeah.
they know there's kind of like a dilemma going on between the two parties. So then teams would just be lowballing the Canucks, and then who knows what it could turn into.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't like how they're handling it so
It's a weird situation, but he's been doing pretty good so far this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's been
Yeah.
really good so far.
How many points do you know? I think he has like, actually, I don't know. I have no clue.
I haven't really looked at that actually.
Well, all I know is
He's
he's
just,
been good.
yeah, he's been kind of great all around. Like, I don't know, just like last season, I guess, playing really well on a not the greatest team.
Yeah. The Canucks also, like, they've dropped to 2-2 now, haven't they?
Yeah,
Or are they 2-1?
or,
Oh, yeah, they're 2-2. Yeah.
yeah, 2-2.
They had that strong start against the Oilers, and then couldn't seem to get past the Lightning or the Flyers.
That was disappointing for me with the Lightning. I think, obviously, I can't say for sure, but I think that Tyler Myers play didn't happen where he ran over Hughes, I think that goal might have
That
maybe
might have
been
not
able to.
happened.
Yeah, I don't know. He just made it a like 5-on-2 instead of a 5-on-3 or a
Yeah.
5-on-4. I don't know.
Who knows what the who knows what Tyler Myers, he's like,
Who knows what's ever going through Tyler Myers'
who
head?
who even knows it, like if he likes hockey.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much
Pretty
everything
much.
for the Canucks.
All right. So we'll move on to some Flames news now. So I think Flames got like a solid start, like nothing too special. They haven't been like amazing, but they haven't been bad either. They have a really good PK right now. It's like 93.3%. It's like tied for third in the league. I think the first time they got scored on the power play was actually last game against the Sabres. And the PP was actually like, it didn't look good, but the percentage was like 27% for a little bit.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think after the Sabres game yesterday, it went down to like 18. So it's back down to kind of midding around in the league a bit. But honestly, I'm not even too surprised our power play is like that low. Like out of all four of the games so far, the power play hasn't even looked that good in my opinion.
yeah. I haven't watched a ton, but I've watched like a little bit, and I haven't noticed anything like special about the power play.
That's what I mean, dude. Like it's like there's not really like a star player that like takes over the power play. Like you know how like obviously in Edmonton they have like McDavid and Draisaitl do their stuff. The Avs have like Makar, McKinnon doing their like cross crease passes, like all that. Like the Devils with Hughes, like even like the Canucks have a pretty solid power play. I think like the
Yeah,
Flames, like they just
the
kind of look
Flames.
scrabbly all the time.
Yeah, but the Flames, you kind of have to think though, like who even is their star player? Like I might just be
Yeah,
not knowing enough about them, but who would you say is their like current star player? Do they even have one?
but that's what I'm kind of getting into here with a lot of this Flames news is like our maybe like star player is considered Huberdeau, but like
Yeah,
Huberdeau is like not like a dynamic player. Like he's not a player that like takes over a game by himself, does like dynamic things. Like yeah, he's probably a solid playmaker on like a really like highly powered offensive team like he was with the Florida Panthers. Like the Florida Panthers that season had like the highest goals for or something. So obviously he's gonna have like 115 points. But I think being on like the Flames who are just like they pretty much just have like four like second and third lines.
yeah.
Like they don't really have like a like superstar line.
Mm-hmm.
The power play, like obviously not that good, or it actually has been like solid, but I'm just thinking back, I feel like the power play, or at least for me, I can't remember the last time I like loved the power play or thought we actually had a good power play since like 2019, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, what is that now, like 5 years ago or something? And like,
Yeah.
I remember like 18, 19 season, like before that, like Goudreau would always be doing these like cross seam passes to like Monahan for like goals and like Lindholm. But it's like we don't see that anymore. Like Huberdeau tries to do it, but it always gets blocked. And I
Yeah.
keep wondering like this guy is like put in as like an elite playmaker, but it feels like every one of his passes are just instantly picked off.
I just really don't think like how old is Huberto?
He's pushing 30 if he's not already, like maybe like 29.
Yeah. I just really it seemed like a good trade at the time. Kachuk and
Yeah.
was it just Kachuk for Huberto and Weegar?
Mm. I think we gave like a fourth or something, like
Oh
a
yeah.
low end draft pick, but
Like Weegar is still playing well, isn't he?
he's solid. Like he does his job for the most part. Like he's not like a high point getter, but
Yeah.
he's like solid defensively for sure.
Yeah. And then Huberto, like I don't know if I would call him bad this season, but he's just kind of there.
That's what I mean. He's just there. Like he doesn't do anything special.
He's like Matthews in the playoffs. Like
Yeah. Except it's just like he never is nice.
yeah.
It's just he's always in like Matthews playoff form. Like I don't know. Like I feel like so many Flames fans who are like, oh, he's not bad because he does have like 4 points in 4 games right now. Like
Yeah.
so like on paper it's like solid, but it's just like when I used to watch I glazed Goudreau so much, but like when you'd watch him, he's actually like exciting. Like he'd carry the puck up, he'd do like crazy passes. Like you just be like, look at this guy go. But Huberto is just like he's slow. he doesn't really carry the puck into the zone. He gets it into the blue line, then he like stops up and like looks for a pass. It gets picked off, and then it's like, all
Yeah.
right, like that was good try, Huberto, but it didn't work. Like he's just not dynamic, and I think the Flames need like a dynamic player again.
Yeah, they need someone, again, going back to that thing I said about how they really just don't have a star player, right?
Yeah,
They need someone who can kind of take Huberto's spot and actually be a dynamic player that can make good plays and start generating some offense and be better for the Flames overall.
yeah. Like in general, that's pretty much like all I had about the Flames so far. Is like we've been good. Like we're 2-1-1. Like
Mhm.
that's like a pretty solid record, but it's just like the team in general. Like I hate to be a downer. It's not as fun to watch the Flames anymore. Like I don't have as much fun watching it as I did like a couple of years ago. Like I still love watching hockey, but it's for sure not the same.
Yeah, it's just like I definitely understand that. I've felt like that a little bit with the Canucks. It's different for me because I always have like a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how you guys are feeling as Flames fans this year, but with the Canucks, I think they just look promising for me every year. And then by late mid season, I kind of start losing that and feel the
Yeah.
same way you're feeling right now. It's like,
Like
I don't
it's
know.
kind of just weird because like pretty much every year that I've like watched the Flames, I'm always like, oh, I want us to be a playoff team. But this year's like probably the first season ever where I've been like, if we don't make the playoffs, I literally like don't care. Like I
Yeah,
just like I watch the games and I'm kind of just like, if we lose like 10-1, I'd be like, all right, that's fine. Whereas last year, like the year before, I would have been like crying, bro.
yeah,
I'd have been like so upset.
yeah, I know. I've kind of noticed that with you, like even in preseason this year, like I feel like usually be like a little bit more excited about the preseason instead of
Yeah,
just saying like, oh, we're looking promising or whatever, like, or
yeah,
just being like a bit like mad about it, whatever, like, oh, we're looking like terrible this year. But you kind of just didn't care at all, especially with
yeah,
preseason. Like no one really cares that much about preseason, but you were like nothing.
yeah. I was
Like I
like,
don't know how to
nice,
explain that.
nice 10-1 win. Like I've glazed Coronado a bit, but
yeah,
like other than that, like Coronado's another guy I could talk about quickly. Like, he's been good. He scored his first goal, I think. Was it? Yeah, second game of the season. He's been solid. He had an assist last night, so he's probably one of the more exciting players to watch. But
yeah,
just
for
one
sure.
more thing I want to like mention as this actually isn't like my like thought or whatever. I heard this on the Barn Burner podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Boomer said this, but he pretty much said like back in 2021, 22, when the Flames had that like best first line in the league, like Goudreau, Lindholm, Kachuk, like when they would go on the ice or something, you'd be like, okay, this is our chance. Like we can
Mhm.
score here. Like we were down a goal with like 5 minutes left or something. Throw those guys on, you feel like you have a chance. Like this year, it's like what line do you put on to do that? Like no one has that dominance. No one has that like excitement for the fans.
Yeah, I feel like from the standpoint of a Flames fan, like I can definitely see how you're just not excited in general to watch the Flames right now.
Yeah.
Because like with the Canucks, for me, you put on like the Pedersen, like Messer
Yeah, exactly.
and like Kuzmenko, whatever, and then with the Flames, like you said, it's just
It's like I literally said it already. It's like three, like four, second, a third line. It's like there's no like really number one line.
yeah, I feel like it's actually disappointing. I like watching Flames hockey, like I
Yeah,
have in the past. Even though I'm not necessarily a Flames fan, I will be in the playoffs if the Flames are there
yeah,
and the Canucks aren't. But
but yeah. Like I mean, I don't know. I guess like the season's so early, but
yeah,
that's just kind of what I've like seen so far from them. Just like not as exciting or whatever.
maybe time for them to consider. I don't want to say a rebuild because they have like pieces that they need already. They don't need to fully rebuild. Just maybe
Yeah,
tank this season, try to get a good draft pick and then just see what you can do with next season.
yeah. Like I've kind of like thought about it, or kind of what I think will happen is if we do kind of struggle like first couple months here, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe try to retool a little bit, which would be nice. Like try to just like get like I know we did get younger this off season, but like I'd like to get like a lot younger.
Yeah.
like move off a lot. Like I'd still love to trade Lindholm. Like if we re-sign Lindholm, like we're doing a podcast on that, and I'm not going to be too happy about it.
And I
But
have to
like
label that one as explicit.
explicit, there will be cuss words in this because I'm not happy. So last game, like watching the Sabres game, like this is gonna sound like really weird, and I've like never really said this before, but I kind of watched it in like a way of almost cheering for the Sabres. Like I wasn't really like cheering for them, but I was kind of watching it more how I watch like every other NHL game where I'm just like kind of spectating both teams. Like there isn't really a team where I'm like, oh, I like want this team to win. It's just like I'm more watching it for like the fact of watching hockey, which was it was kind of like a weird feeling. Like I'm like, no way, I'm like not even mad that like the Flames are like kind of getting rocked, or they didn't even lose, but when they'd get outplayed. I also have Skinner in fantasy now, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of hoping he'd score, but that may sound kind of depressing, but it's kind of how I'm feeling recently.
I feel like a lot of Flames fans are probably feeling like that, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't really know. I don't follow all the like Flames accounts and stuff on Instagram. I'm not.
Yeah,
I can imagine there's a lot of, it's just depressing talk.
kind of, yeah. It's like a weird era of Flames hockey.
Yeah,
I'm really
sure.
excited for whenever we can move on to like a new era, but I kind of just have like a quick list here of like negatives and positives I found so far, so we don't like finish off like the most like depressing Flames talk you've ever heard. But
Sure.
so like negatives, like I'll start with negatives because like we're already on that kind of like Kadri, or this guy, dude, he's not bouncing back. Like in the Washington game, he completely sold that game. He just jumped off the boards randomly. Gave us too many men in overtime. They got a power play. They didn't score on that power play, but it kind of sent it to a shootout. And then of course we lost in the shootout. But I was like, what are you thinking, my guy?
I think the Flames, like as a team, might just be feeling a little rattled this year as well. It's possible.
That's weird though, because everyone is saying like, oh, this is like we feel like fresh, but it's like I don't know if it looks fresh. Like
yeah, you might feel fresh, but you're most certainly not looking fresh.
Like we're talking on this podcast, like we're like 0-4 right now. Like we're not, but it's just like
it's just such a depressing time for the Flames.
Like the feel of the team just isn't there, you know?
Yeah.
And Backlund too. Bax hasn't been great, honestly. I was kind of just expecting him to come in more like because he's a captain. I thought he'd kind of come in buzzing, have a couple points the first few games, but I think he's pointless so far. Or at least no goals yet. And he's kind of just been there, honestly. Like not good, but not bad. And I was just expecting a bit more from him.
Yeah. Do you have any like overall thoughts of him just as a captain in general so far? Or have you not really seen enough to?
Not really. Like I think it's kind of too early to tell. Like he's done like decent amount of media and stuff like that, but there hasn't been like too much to analyze on that front yet.
Yeah. Same thing with Hughes for the Canucks. Like he's played better than Backlund, obviously, but I think overall he might just be a faster, better, younger player than Backlund.
Yeah,
I don't want to say better necessarily because I've never really, you can't compare them really. They're
so different, but
different play styles and stuff. But yeah.
And then Huberdeau is kind of another like kind of negative. Like again kind of went over this, like 4 points, 4 games. Stats look good, but just overall like dominance over the game. Like he doesn't really grab the game like you want a star player to do. But again, early, don't want to overreact. Who knows? Huberdeau's having a 200-point season this year. Okay, but anyway, I want to move into like a few positives. So obviously I kind of mentioned this, like the power play and PK percentage-wise has been solid. I don't want to get like too much into that, but the PK's always been good. Like we actually kind of moved to more of like a zone, more like, what do you call it, like passive style. Like with Sutter, we kind of played more aggressive. But this passive style seems to work pretty well for us so far. And then PP was good. Is it still good? I don't know. And then fourth line, I think the Flames may have the best fourth line in the league. And I'm actually not being sarcastic. Like this fourth line is kind of nasty. Like we have Guerrier, Sharon Govich, and Dewar. Like these guys they're just all so fast, and like it's such a good break from like Lucic, Lewis, Ritchie, all these like big enforcers that we had on the fourth line with Sutter that just like were not dominant at all. So it's nice to sort of have like a fourth line that's like actually exciting to watch. And they're like solid last game. Like Sharon Govich, he had this gross play where he was coming up the left wing. He's a speedy guy. So he's coming up the left wing, fakes the shot, and does a wraparound. And he actually would have scored it if he didn't throw it right into Levi's pad. But that was kind of a nice move by him. Dewar scored. And then I've liked Guerrero too. He's kind of a good, like, better replacement for Lucic. Not like maybe as physical, but for sure pretty physical, and he's faster.
Yeah, that's actually good to hear. I haven't really got a chance to, or I haven't just really paid attention to much of the fourth line, to be honest. But
yeah, that's fair.
So I don't really have much to add, but that's definitely exciting.
Yeah.
They could move up eventually if they're.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say it's for sure like the most exciting line, honestly. Yeah. But then Markstrom's actually been pretty good. Like his again, like stats aren't great. Like I think he has a below 900 save percentage, but he was the reason that the Flames even beat the Jets in the first game of the season. And then in the Pittsburgh game, he had a rough third period, I think it was. Yeah, a rough third period, letting like 5 goals. So that tanked his save percentage. And then the Washington game, he had a bad second period, I think, and then that tanked it. And then he didn't play last game. Vladar played against the Sabres, but he's been solid, honestly. Like, can't really complain too much with him. And then probably the last, like, positive is we've actually been getting off to a really good start so far. Like, I don't want to get too excited because we did this a lot last year too, where we'd get off to, like, crazy good starts. We'd have, like, I don't know, like 10 shots to nothing in, like, the first, like, 15 minutes of the first period. And we've been doing that again. So that's been pretty exciting. But overall, that's pretty much all I got with Flames news.
Yeah, just adding on one thing while we were talking about goalies a couple of seconds ago. Yeah. Demko for the Canucks has been so good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's been really good.
In the Flyers game, Canucks got shut out. Demko let in 2, but I think he still made 40 saves or something.
Yeah. He still gave me like plus points in fantasy that night.
Yeah, I got him in fantasy as well. I actually have Demko and Hart as my goalie pairing.
So that was a big night for you then.
Yeah. So I think Demko had -4 from the 2 goals he let in, but then also +4 from the 40 saves he made.
Oh yeah, that's solid.
And then
he's been really good.
Yeah, he's been so good. That first game, I don't know how many saves he made. I think he was quite a few. And
yeah, for sure.
He was feeling sick or whatever. He threw up in his mask in the last.
I remember seeing that
game, and they had to pull him out and put DeSmith in. And DeSmith has actually been playing really well as well. I think he started the second game, a couple more goals let in, but
still really like a good backup position or backup option.
Definitely, I'm happy with the Canucks goaltending this year. It's looking bright
good
right now
for sure.
For our fantasy hockey league that we're in, first week just wrapped up recently. I actually led the league in points.
You did, dude. You and Jaden had a massive week.
Yeah, it was me and Jaden. It was crazy. It came right down to the very last game that was being played on the last night of the week. I had, still I'm blanking on the players that I had playing in that game, but
Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto.
I don't remember the other guy.
Fowler.
Oh, Fowler?
Yeah. They're the reason I ended up winning that week. I maybe finished off with like 109 or something, and Jaden had maybe 105.
Week.
Yeah. Something like that. I was down by a few points until the last 3 minutes or whatever of that Ducks game when Carolina pulled their goalie, and just the 2 players I had, Toronto finished off his Hattie on the empty net, and then Fowler, I think, actually scored his second of the night on that empty net.
Oh, really?
I might be remembering that wrong. It was his first or second, but I'm thinking it was his second.
You had a big week. It was a close matchup. I remember mine was like, dude, it was down to the last game too. I won by like 1.8 points, dude. Like I was so stressed watching the game because the guy I was versus had Aho and Zegras, and I had Nietzsche's playing Terry and Drysdale. And I remember I was like, dude, I'm like down. Like, this is not going to be good. Then Nietzsche scores a goal. It's tied at 92 apiece exactly. And Drysdale throws a hit, gets me 0.1. So I'm up by 0.1 at this point. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope Aho or like someone doesn't throw a hitter, Zegers get an empty netter because the Carolina obviously had an empty net that game.
Yeah.
And then Terry assisted on an empty netter, so it put me up by like 1 point. I don't know how it worked out to be 1.8 or it was like 1.6. I don't know how that worked, but
Maybe a blocked shot or something.
yeah, maybe. But it was close. It was down to the last wire for me too, so I was pretty stressed, but happy to get that win, and I'm leading this week too.
Yeah, I'm leading this week so far as well. Looking like I'm gonna win the week right now. I don't know. Obviously, things can change pretty quickly. I don't think I have anyone playing tonight. Not a single guy.
I have two. The guy I'm playing isn't even changing his lineup though.
Oh,
So
really?
literally, I'm like playing like nobody, it feels like. But thanks for listening. That's a little bit of Flames Canucks news for the first 2 weeks of the season. 4 games in. Bit of fantasy talk too. Let us know down below how your guys' fantasy teams are doing and what you think of the Flames and Canucks season so far. And be sure to tune in on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. Interact with our social media posts because it helps us grow the podcast quite a bit. And thanks guys for listening. Take care.